Hi, everyone. This is our second episode with Dr. Johanna Pagonis. And I don't know if you are interested. Of course, you're going to be interested. Don't tell me no, especially if you are a woman, because we're talking today about the wake up call. And we talked about this and we started talking about this with Dr. Johanna Pagonis, who is with us again today to continue the conversation and to talk that how can we invest in our purposes as women. So I'm looking at her. He's shaking her head. She's cute and gorgeous and elegant and beautiful. And welcome to our show, Dr. Johanna. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing well, thank you. It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining. I can't complain.
We have two sunshines, one outside and one here with me because you're just shining.
Yeah, I'm wearing yellow like the sun today. Yeah.
Well, you're amazing in every way. So we would like to share this strength of being so amazing and just shining with women out there and girls and tell them more. How can they do it? And we're gonna help them, right? I mean, we promised to help them, so we are going to talk about how to find purposes, right? We were just talking last week, and it was like purposes and what are the secret keys to find purposes, especially as women. Oh, it's hard for women. Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, we have to give ourselves permission to explore what we love to do. Number one, I think to understand what your purpose is you have to think first about what do I love to do? What makes my heart sing? What am I passionate about? And I think sometimes as women, we play many roles: mother, teacher, sister, daughter, and we almost feel like our purpose is that it's to be a good mother, it's to be a good daughter, or a good wife. And I feel like, and that could be part of it, definitely, that could be your calling. But there's also more to who we are as an individual. And so at first, I think we have to give ourselves permission to say and to think about, what is it that I love to do? No doubt you love your children, you love taking care of them, and you want to be a good support network, a good support to your husband and your family. But there must be something about you that is unique to you, that makes you who you are. So number one, what is it that you're passionate about? What do you love to do? And I think as women, we need to give ourselves permission to think about that. That means we need time for ourselves. And I think we sacrifice a lot of our own time for others. And then when we take time for ourselves, we feel guilty. And I'm here to say, I know it's challenging to not feel guilt, to invest in yourself, but it's critical to support you in being happy in life. And if you don't give yourself permission to take care of yourself and to think about what you love to do, it'll be harder for you to really be there for others and support them. So first, it starts with yourself. So think about what you love to do. And I think that aligns to what your purpose is. So like for me, I've always, since a young girl, I've always wanted to help other people. I feel like if I can make other people's lives better, then it really fulfills me in my life. And so that's what I love to do. So I think women need to stop and think about what is it that they love to do. And then they need to think about what they're really good at doing. And this is, I call it a superpower. And a superpower is not just a strength, it's a strength on steroids. It's like a super strength. It's something that you're very good at and that you're very confident at doing. And when I ask women, what is your superpower? They get very nervous and they say, no. They say, I don't know. I don't have a superpower.
Because you're just talking to them and you're just saying like, I mean, go and see what you like, what you're good at, because sometimes you might like something, but you will not be good at it. So, and I don't know, I mean, if it's easy for them to do this, because at the same time, we're talking about things that they want to do. And I don't know if it's related to their abilities. You have to know, right? I mean, if you're investing in yourself, you have to know, I mean, how far you could go. Not that we're taking away the confidence from them. So it seems like in some ways, it's very scary when you ask the question like superpower. So what do they do?
And most women will say to me, but I'm not perfect at everything. There's still a lot for me to learn and grow.
Mhm.
And I say to them, you can have a superpower, but you can still have room to grow and learn to perfect it. Having a superpower doesn't mean you're perfect at
Mhm.
one specific thing. And perfection is, it's not a reality. You can't be perfect at something. And I feel like in order to be really good at something means you acknowledge that you're confident in doing this one thing or two things. You love doing this one thing, but you know that there's still room to grow and to learn. It doesn't mean that it's not a superpower. It can still be a superpower. And I think we're too hard on ourselves as women. We like to downplay what our strengths are. And so I
Why do
encourage,
you think it happens like that? Who do we do
that's a good
that?
question. I know that's a good question. Why do we do that? And there's a lot of research that looks at, women lack confidence more than men. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I've met a lot of women like yourself, very confident,
Oh,
very, 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 very confident and self-aware of what you're very good at.
thank
And I
you.
feel like sometimes as women, maybe we don't necessarily get the same support as men do. When I think about all the men that I know, especially the ones that I've spoken with through my research, they got a lot of support from other men. But sometimes as women, we don't always support one another. And I think
Yeah.
that's starting to change. We're starting to support one another. Like your show, You Can Do It, is geared really specific to women and empowering women to feel like they can do what they want to do, what they love
Yeah,
to do.
because
And
because as you're saying, like you're empowering them, but the thing is that sometimes I just feel, I don't know, Dr. Johanna, how much it makes sense that I empower myself. I just don't need anybody to approach to me because I know what I want. So how can we help these women to realize what they're good at and what they like to find out? Maybe they don't even know. They're like a roller coaster or la la land, or just like going around, and time is ticking,
yes,
because when you're 60, it's not like you're 15 when you're 20. And you know what I mean? I mean, there are things that maybe we want to do, but at this age, we can do something different than we did, 20 years ago. What can we
yes,
do now? So
yes.
how can we bring them to the reality, you know?
Yes, that's a good question. And I think whether you're 20 or whether you're 60, this is something you can do at any age. Because I feel like women, especially as they get older, 40s, 50s, 60s, their children tend to get older, move out of the house, have their own families, and they have this newfound freedom where they can explore what they've always wanted to do. And so whether you're young or middle age or senior citizen, this is something you can do. And so number one is give yourself permission to think about what is
Mm.
it that I love to do? What am I good at? And write it down. The second thing is to actually get feedback from other people, because sometimes we don't know what we're really good at, but other people do. And I always say, ask two very simple questions. Tell me a time you saw me really thriving at my best, when I was really happy and I was doing very well and I was excelling in my life. Tell me a time that you saw me happy and thriving, and have them tell you a story about that. They'll give you an opportunity to see what you're really good at. Another thing is, tell me some things that you think I'm really strong at. What is it that I do very well? And another question is, what are three words that really describe me, like an adjective? What are three words that describe me? And I've done this, and I've had other women do this, and they'll get things like, I'll share you my personal story. When somebody said to me, when you're in a room and you're helping other people and you're really encouraging them to think about their strengths, I see you thriving at your best. You're really connected with other people. So it makes me realize this is what I'm good at, and this is what I do for a job. So it's a good alignment. And other things. So like, tell me something I'm really good at. And they would say things like, you're really good at helping people understand, what their unique contributions or strengths are. So I'm good at pulling out that from other people as a strength. And then when it came to three adjectives, they said things like optimistic, fun, and compassionate.
Mhm.
And so that went a long way in helping me realize, okay, these are what my strengths are. This is what I'm passionate about. And then I could really assess where I wanted to continue going in my life and or my career based on some of the feedback I got. So I think first think about what you think you're strong at, And then number two, ask for feedback. Go to your friends, your families, your coworkers, and ask them to share with you, what do you think I'm strong at?
I want to ask you a question. I don't know if it's going to be scary, but
Go for it.
I'm going to go with
I
it.
love scary.
Let's let's say we're talking about something that we love. But
Yeah.
let's say I don't know, I'm 45 years old and suddenly I want to be a singer. But there are facts sometimes in life that they're like demons, but they are there. You know, I want to be a belly dancer, but I'm not 20 anymore. You know what I mean? So do you think that with every age we should come from different expectations? Because it's like there are facts in life. It has nothing to do with the society, nothing to do with our self-confidence, but it's a fact. I mean, if you're like 60 and you cannot have babies anymore, okay, you can get out of your way and do something out of nature and go like do an in vitro in somebody else, whatever. But I'm just saying that
adopt.
Facts, exactly. But what I'm saying is like the balance between these facts in nature and the things that they desire. Maybe they desired something when they were 19 and suddenly now they're 50. This conflict, I mean, how can you bring it down to a balance that they would just find peace to see what they are capable of doing at that age, what requires time and
effort,
ability, you know, facts, like wake up. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes, I hear what you're saying. Like, I think, yes, I hear what you're saying, but I would say as not only, it's not just unique to women, but although I see it more in women than anybody else, we're already engaged in self-limited thinking. We already assume that there's a lot of things that we can't do. What I'm saying is let's give women permission to actually explore that. Children sometimes will say, I want to be an astronaut. And we downplay and we say, no, you can't do that. Well, how come they can't do that? Now, if you had somebody who was 80, would they say, I want to be an astronaut at 80? Probably not. I mean, I think most people, when we tell people, give yourself permission to think and explore what you want, chances are they're going to come up with things that are within the realm of possibility to achieve. I've never really met anybody who said, you know, that they wanted to achieve something that was physically incapable of being achieved. But like you mentioned, so for example,
I mean, their desires, even if things they wanted to have a long time ago,
but why can't they do them now?
So
they may have to adjust things. Like say somebody in their 60s says, I want to have a child.
You know, I mean, the word adjust, yeah.
Right? You can adjust, yeah. So you may not be able to do what you did necessarily when you were 20, but you can adjust it, you know? Maybe somebody at 70 says, I've never run a marathon. I'd like to do that. Well, try, train, see if you can do it. And if physically you can't, then maybe you can do a half marathon. But what's the ultimate goal? Is it to get physically active? Is it to be out in the sunshine and to run and to do a race and complete it and cross that finish line? Does the length matter, or is it the fact that you're actually doing it? So I want to give people permission to really explore first, what is it that they love, that they've always wanted to do? And then the next thing is to figure out how to do it, and to be realistic with yourself in terms of how you can do it, but not limit yourself either. And so I've known people who were in their 40s that became actors. I know people who became singers. They pursued these passions late in life, but they were still successful. And then you also have to think, what does success mean? So if I want to be a singer, I'm 46. Now let's say I want to be a singer. Is it about me maybe finding a small band and doing some small singing gigs in small little restaurants or clubs in my town? Maybe to me, that's success. I'm actually doing something that I love. I may not necessarily be a platinum record selling artist across the world, but I may be able to get on a stage and sing because I love to sing. Wow. So it's just about trying to approach it in a way that, first of all, you give yourself permission to think about it, and then to figure out how you can do that in a way that fits your reality. But just yeah. And you know what I mean? Like, I think we always start off with the I can't do it. We never start off with the I can. And I got to tell you, Nataly, too, like my business that I started in the last year, right before COVID hit, which impacted my business pretty negatively, there are still times where I tell myself, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I have my husband, my support network, who reminds me, yes, you can. Believe in yourself. You've always believed in yourself. And so I have my support network who is there if I need it sometimes. So even now in my life and in my career, out of all of the things I've accomplished, I still have self-doubt that I can't do something. And I feel like we need to say to ourselves, I can do it. I
What
can
do
do
you
it.
do when this self-doubt comes and visits Dr. Johanna Pagonis? What do you say to this doubt?
Oh,
when doubt visits you and knocks your door,
yeah,
what do you say?
I love how you say that. And it's, you know what, Natalie, it's been visiting me a lot more than I want. It's that one,
maybe
it's that one guest I don't want to come over. Stop coming over. I don't want you to come over. Stay away.
You're not invited.
My door.
What do you do, honestly?
What do? I give myself, once again, I give myself permission to feel it, to feel the doubt.
How do you feel it? How do you feel it?
Okay, very good question.
How do you, we just
anxiety,
but we don't talk about it, you know?
We don't. Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, so I get like a pit in my stomach where I don't feel, you know, an upset stomach, and then I start to get anxious. So I start to have shallow breathing. I don't breathe deeply anymore, and I don't sleep as well, and I start to feel a bit depressed. I start to look in the mirror and not feel good about myself, and I start to get insecure. I start to feel like, oh, I have a client meeting. Oh, well, I start to doubt myself that I'll be able to interact with the client.
What do you do?
In a positive way. So I start to get insecurity. I start to shallow breathing, anxiety, lack of sleep.
So this means that the doubt is visiting you. So how do you push back the doubt?
Okay.
Come on, get ready. She's giving us the ingredient, the secret ingredient. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I say it out loud. I say, I'm feeling like this. So I find somebody who I love and trust, and I express it. And I say, oh my God, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling a lot of doubt. And this is why I doubt. This is what I'm doubting. So I'll actually name it. I'll say, I'm afraid of this, or I'm concerned about that. So I'll be like, I'm afraid that COVID will impact my business where I won't be able to get new business for the rest of the year. I'm afraid that I'm lacking confidence to sell my services. So I actually name what it is that I'm doubting.
So we have to name the feelings of doubt in order to face them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Self-awareness, number one.
Wow.
The most powerful thing.
And what
it's the scariest thing.
Let's say you're alone and there's nobody there, and doubt is visiting you.
Okay.
What do you do?
Same thing. Say it out loud. Write it down. But don't deny yourself of it. Don't hide it. Don't, you know, if the doubt comes and knocks on the door, unfortunately, open the door, let it in.
What do you want?
You have to face it, and you have to verbalize it. Say it out loud. Speak to yourself. Look in the mirror and say to yourself, why am I feeling like this? And say it to yourself. And if you have to write it down, if you're the type of person who likes to write it down, write it down. And then actually something miraculous happens. Once you say it, you're like, oh, it actually doesn't have as much power over you. Wow. Because you've had the power and the courage to say it. You know, it's like that one person that you're afraid to see. If you open the door and you face it, you actually realize it's not as scary as you thought. So you start to feel better as soon as you say it. But that's not enough. Then you have to think about, what am I going to do to deal with it? And so ways that I deal with it is I actually start to figure out what I'm going to do to be more productive. So if I'm like, for example, if I had an exam that I was anxious about and I thought I would fail, well, I'm going to start studying for the exam. I'm going to do what it is that I need to do to be successful. So in my business, I make sure that I'm connecting with clients. I reach out to them. I post something on social media. I do your show. I put myself out there, and I do things that scare me.
It's amazing the way that you're just helping and giving this amazing tips to us, to women. This is amazing. I mean, me for once, I mean, I support myself a lot. I love supporting myself. And you know that, I mean, we're technically friends, and I'm proud to call you my friend. You're an amazing person, Dr. Johanna, amazing. She's amazing, everyone. Okay, so, and the thing is that, you know, like my husband's cousin, she says, how come you're like this? I say, I don't want anybody to clap for me, because I'm scared that next day maybe this person won't be there. So it's okay. I say, Natalie, it's okay. It's good. You're amazing. And sometimes my husband like, who are you talking to? I say, God. It wouldn't be God, I will be speaking to myself, but I don't want him to say like she's in, or else the voice is in her head, and it's in Armenian, so it doesn't understand. It's okay.
Okay, there you go.
I want to ask another important question
Mhm.
before we wrap it up this beautiful
Yes.
episode. And what if a woman who is so excited to do something and they tried, and because they wanted to do it and they failed because they did not
Yes.
get the results? And how do you help this person precisely to stand up back again
And yeah.
on their feet to make another chance? Because you say like, okay, I want to run marathon, I want to sing, I want to, and maybe they tried. And
Yeah.
I'm not being negative. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm just trying to say, think about the things that not everything is, let's say, beautiful. Not everything is. It's not always spring. It's not always sunshine. What if somebody doesn't get to where they want, even though they do all the effort?
Mm-hmm.
How should they face their next
Yes.
morning?
Yes. Well, let's talk about failure and talk about why people are so afraid of it. Why are we so
Mhm.
afraid of failure? Do you know through failure we actually improve?
Wow.
It's the most powerful way to learn. And so we have to embrace failure, but we also have to define it also. So if you're okay, let's use the analogy of a singer, because I've always wanted to be a singer too. I still think one
Woo!
day I'll get on a stage and
Sing,
I'll
sing
sing.
to us, sing to us. Can you?
Okay, so let's say I want to be a singer and I want to get on the stage, but I'm afraid to fail. I have to say to myself, well, what is it that you're afraid that you're going to fail? Okay, maybe I'm afraid that I won't find anybody who will let me sing. Well, how do I overcome that? Well, maybe I need to actively get out there and go and visit bands, speak to them, call them, send them an email. If I'm afraid that no one will want me to sing for their band, that could actually stop me from even exploring. Explore. If you put effort into it, if you figure out what you're afraid of, and then you figure out what am I going to do to try and deal with that failure, chances are you'll be able to push past it. So let's say, okay, that's my first thing I'm afraid of, that no one will want me to sing for them. I go out and I actively seek people who are in bands. I speak to them, I sing for them, and I find somebody finally who wants me to sing. It may take a long time, but I don't give up. That's one thing. So failure could be, oh, it's taking longer than I thought. That's okay. If you really want it, you stick to it. What's the next thing I'm afraid of? Maybe I'm afraid that I'm going to not sound good on the stage. Well, then practice as much as you can to be prepared. And so they'll help build confidence that you may not fail as bad. And even if you get up on the stage and the mic is out of tune and all of a sudden you sing one key out of tune, but then you pick up and you keep singing better. I mean, that's okay. You'll learn from that. I mean, sometimes we think failure is like this big, huge, disastrous thing where we'll be, we'll be unable to get back up and recover. But most failure happens small, manageable. We can deal with it and we can learn from it
How
and
can
move
you
on.
deal? Okay, they failed. Let's say
Yeah.
they are disappointed. They just
Mm-hmm.
and they
Yes.
come to, I failed in something I wanted to do. I tried everything, all the doors closed, and I come to Dr. Johanna. I say,
Yeah.
Dr. Johanna, I failed. I tried every way to do this. I wanted to do this. I liked doing it. I loved it so much for so long, but I didn't. So what should I do now? What would you do as a doctor, and your advice? What would it be?
Well, you said something that was very interesting. You said you failed, but you tried. And when you were trying, you loved what you did. And I would say, what were some of the things that you learned from trying? What did you gain out of that? What was the positive things that you learned from trying? Because you used the words, I love doing it.
Yeah.
So what was it about that you loved? What was it about that made you happy? Because then maybe you didn't really fail. Maybe there was something out of that experience that enriched who you are and made you better.
So for you, it's not the result, because for me, I would say, okay, the things that I learned that I didn't reach my goal. So for you, it's not the goal. You just try to find, as Dr. Johanna, possibilities in letting them realize that they can enjoy the journey, not
Yes.
that they reach the place, right?
Yes. I'm
Amazing.
actually going to share a quote with you. I just
Yeah,
have
go
to.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Where is it? This is the quote. This is my mantra. I say to this mantra to myself, and I think this addresses the failure aspect too. So I say, stay the course. Realize that your journey has just begun. There are lessons to learn along the way. And sometimes the destination isn't our biggest reward. It's how we get there. And so failure is okay. First of all, we have to embrace it. We have to feel like it's an opportunity to learn. But even if we don't necessarily get the outcome we want, what did we learn along the way that has enriched our lives and made us better for it?
If Dr. Johanna can do it, and she has been doing so far this amazing change in the world, it means that everybody can do it. So what do you have to say? You know, I'm very sad to let you go today, because it's a beautiful episode. Like, I love it, but I would like to ask you to say, a word to everybody who is watching us, our audience, that how can they do it? We can say, you can do it. So what do you say to them, word, Dr. Johanna?
I guess I would say, first, give yourself permission to invest in yourself, to devote some time to exploring what you love to do, and to think about how you can achieve and live kind of like your passion every day. Give yourself permission to do that as a woman, and ask for support if you need it. But number one, just believe in yourself. And anytime you hear that voice that says, I can't do it, admit that to yourself, and then just, you have to find a way to put it aside and keep moving forward and trying. And it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fail, because ultimately you'll learn from that and you'll be better for it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Johanna. And I thank all the audience. And you have any comments, any questions, please share with us, and share the video with women that you think that they will be interested, or they need support of people, of doctors or coaches like Dr. Johanna Pagonis. And thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Johanna.
Thank you
Bye,
so
guys.
much.
Bye. Thank you.